Well, hello there. My name is Jeremy and welcome back once more to Freeform Disney. Now today's video is going to be a bit more somber than usual because today we're going to be doing one on, well, all the people who have passed away in the last year. Now first, before I get into that, let me once again give a shout out and a thank you to my newest patron, Fred Richards. So once again, thank you so much. Definitely, I love having you on board. Thank you. Now today's video, as said, this is an in memoriam for all the major people that we have lost Disney related in 2020. Now when I say all, it's not really all. There's so many more. And trust me, it's hard to find all of them. It's looking up and trying to get all of these people and trying not to miss people. But I guarantee you I have missed more than a few. And yeah, so feel free to add those down below in the comments if there's anybody that I missed. Let's go ahead and try to go ahead and give a little remembrance to them as well. So definitely feel free to add that. Now I'm going to go ahead and go through this list alphabetically, try to make it as fair as I can. So first off, Roman Arambula. And I'm going to try to pronounce this as best I can. My apologies if I mispronounce any. Now, Roman Arambula was a principal artist for the Mickey Mouse comic strip from 1975 to 1990. And heck, he worked on the Donald Duck comic before that, so definitely somebody very Disney right there. Then we have Kelly Asbury, and Kelly Asbury has a lot of involvement in Disney, mainly over in the art department, whether it be Black Cauldron, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, The Nightmare Before Christmas, and yes, he might be more well known for some of his other work that was non-Disney. But he did all of that first, and heck, he even also had some involvement in Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph, actually, for that matter. So yeah, that's another one. Then Denise Blakely Fuller. She was a big layout artist, did work on Pocahontas, Hunchback, Tarzan, Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis the Last Empire, so made definitely a huge impact there when we're talking about the late Renaissance era. Chadwick Boseman, who, well heck, I highlighted that in one of my news videos earlier this year. Our Black Panther, our T'Challa, heck, who everyone's probably gonna forever identify with that role at this point. And by the way, everybody on this list died too young. No matter how old they were, even if they were over 100, you still died too young. Jeremy Bulloch, Boba Fett, the OG Boba Fett right there for you. Marge Champion. Marge Champion, by the way, was the live-action reference model for Snow White, way back, Disney's first animated movie, as well as also being the live-action reference model for people like the Blue Fairy and Mr. Stork in Dumbo. Sean Connery. Now, Sir Sean Connery actually was first in Disney back in the 1950s in the movie Darby O'Gill and the Little People, way back. But probably as far as Disney is concerned, he's better known for his work in Lucasfilm as Henry Jones Sr. from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Then there's Jason Davis. Now Jason Davis, you might remember because he was the voice of Mikey Blumberg in the show Recess that ran for a good few years. Then there's also Brian Dennehy. Now Brian Dennehy played Remy's father over in Ratatouille, so that was Django. Then there's also Kirk Douglas. Now that's Kirk Douglas who played one of the main characters over in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Ned Land. Then there's Hugh Downs. Hugh Downs was the anchor of 2020 for 20 years over on ABC. Then there's also Rob Gibbs. Rob Gibbs, heavily involved in Pixar. He was a story artist on Dinosaur and more as well over on the Disney animation side, but then also involved as a story artist on Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., and a lot of other involvement in Pixar. Then we lost Judson Green, who was the president of the Disney Parks and Resorts through a big expansion era from 1991 through 2000. Before that, he was president of Walt Disney World too. A huge time for Disney in the parks. Then we had Alan Harris, who, by the way, Alan Harris was the original actor for Bossk back in Empire Strikes Back. Then he was also the double for C-3PO in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He was the double for Boba Fett. He was the double for Chancellor Valorum back in The Phantom Menace. So heavily involved in Star Wars right there. Then we also lost Ian Holm. He plays Chef Skinner in Ratatouille, as well as, I will note, Ash in Alien. Now that's one of the Fox acquisitions. I'm not going to touch that too much, but that's there too. We also lost Grant Imahara. Now, Grant Imahara's involvement in the Disney side of things is actually Star Wars, because over in ILM, he actually was there for a good bit of time. And during the prequel trilogy, he's actually the one who controlled R2-D2's movements. Next up, we've got Andrew Jack, and he went ahead and played Major Callion Emmott back in Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and also he was a big dialect coach for a number of things, as well as, by the way, in the MCU side, he was a dialect coach for Thor and essentially created the style of what Thor actually sounds like in those movies. Pretty cool. The next person we lost is Aunty Kau'i. Now, she was over at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort for a long time, and she greeted guests with handcrafted leis at the Great Ceremonial House, a fixture over there. Then we lost Bonnie Lou Kern, and well, she actually was one of the original Mickey Mouse Club members, so way back. And after that, she actually became a puppeteer for the Jim Henson Company for a little while. Then we lost Malcolm Marmorstein. Now, Malcolm Marmorstein was actually the screenwriter on the original Pete's Dragon, as well as having done Return from Witch Mountain, so back a little further in Disney's history. Then there's Bob Mathieson, who was the executive vice president of Walt Disney World, or one of them anyway. He also helped open Walt Disney World and was a long-time employee and executive, worked in the parks. Next is Thomas L. Miller. Now, he produced a number of shows back on ABC, including Full House, Family Matters, Step by Step, Two of a Kind, bunch of things there. Then there's Sue Nichols Marciarowski. Now, she helped really shape the Renaissance era, visually speaking. She was a visual development and story artist for Disney Animation. She worked on, well, heck, a lot of things, including Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Mulan, even later talking about things like Princess and the Frog and Enchanted too, and more. It's just a few of them. So heavily involved right there. So coming up with some of that initial concept art, even on what things looked like and what the characters would look like. Then we lost Regis Philbin last year, who probably don't have to say too much. Regis Philbin just as a name is well known. One of the things he's well known for is Live with Regis, and also Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, amongst many other things. Then we lost David Prowse. So Darth Vader himself, obviously not the voice, James Earl Jones is still there, but the actual person who physically was Vader, and really the voice on set. And we also lost Helen Reddy. So we lost another person related to Pete's Dragon, because this is actually Nora in Pete's Dragon, the mother who also sang Candle on the Water. And we lost Anne Sullivan, who was an animator, worked on Peter Pan, The Little Mermaid way back, and then also further forward after she came back from retirement and worked on more animated movies for Disney too. And we lost Alex Trebek. And yes, that's actually Disney related too, because he actually had a portion in Ellen's Energy Adventure where he did part of a Jeopardy dream sequence. Last but not least for this in memoriam that I'm doing here is Fred Willard. Now, you might remember Fred Willard from one of a couple things Disney related. He was Shelby Forthright in WALL-E, the actual only person to ever be live as a human in a Pixar movie, as well as being Phil Dunphy's father, Frank from Modern Family. Well, we have lost him this last year as well. And so there you go, that a good few people that we lost this last year. That's always the case, and just to go ahead and give a little remembrance to some of the people and some of the people we don't necessarily talk about as much, like some of these animators and visual development and story artists who do so much work and help shape so much of what we've seen, but we don't always talk about them. And so it's nice to be able to give them at least a little note here. Now, maybe you think we should talk a little more about one of those people. Maybe there should be a whole video devoted to them at some point. If so, let me know. Put something down in the comments. Also, if I forgot anybody or missed them, just definitely let that be put down in the comments below as well. Let's go ahead and remember some of the great people that really were involved with Disney in this past year that passed away. So thank you, everyone. And hey, let me also go ahead and say another thank you to all of my wonderful patrons. Let me not go ahead and not thank you here. And to everyone, thank you for watching. If you like the video, definitely it helps out if you like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. So have a magical day, and may the Force be with you always.